Hey everybody, here we are for Perigee episode number 23. We're pretty excited. As always, Chief Sobe is here with me.
Hey everybody.
It's a little less enthusiasm than you normally have, I feel.
I'll try that again. Hello everyone. Happy to be back on. Better?
Yeah, it's not particularly better, I don't think, but anyway, it's good to have you.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're here as always. and Sergeant Felker is not with us, and so we brought in my mentor and yours, Chief Childers, rock star of the staff.
Hello, team. Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Where you work, S1D, right?
That's correct. Enlisted Force Development.
Is that your duty title?
Chief Enlisted Force Development would be the duty title. That also, the other two chiefs in the shop also have the same duty title, so I'm sure that's not confusing for folks at all. But
I feel like duty titles should have like a definitive article in front of it. Is one of you the Chief of Enlisted Force Development, or you're just all Chief of?
All would be the way to look at that.
All right. Well, we could have a scheduled meeting, talk through that. Anyway, folks, thanks for being here. We know we're in the middle of the holidays, and I sincerely hope that you are enjoying them and you're spending time with each other. We've got I think a fairly long list of things to talk through. I never pretend that I'm going to give you enough information, but we're going to try, and we're going to hopefully have a little fun and just talk through some things. So, Chief, as always, you're in charge as the head babysitter in charge of me. What do you want to talk about?
Chief, tracking earlier this month and actually this week, we had our service component stand up. I know we stood up CENTCOM and USFK.
Yeah, so they followed, right? So now we've got U.S. Space Forces Indo-PACOM, U.S. Space Forces Korea, and U.S. Space Forces Central Command, correct?
Correct. Congratulations to them.
And who's next? UCOM next?
UCOM is next, and then we have a few others in line, Chief. I'm not exactly sure, but I know we have some upcoming here in the next FY, or this FY.
And if I think for our Master Sergeants, certainly for our Senior Master Sergeants, we expect that by the time we do the DT, that if there are positions open in any of those components, that those will be out there and people can volunteer. So it's something to start thinking through, is where do these components fit into kind of my life as a guardian, as an individual, to say, what am I interested in? Where am I interested in potentially going, so that when those things go out, it doesn't surprise anyone. I'm not sure those will be small footprints. Certainly early on, they'll be pulled primarily from the DER Space 4 staffs that we have now, but there will be opportunities. So I would just tell everyone to keep their eyes open for opportunity in the components.
Absolutely, Chief. And then the other piece, as we kind of look at just overall readiness, I know it's been in the work with the BOSS IT transition plan. Do you know where we're at on that? Can you elaborate?
I think you know that I know as much as I can. I mean, here's the thing. We've promised you before that we'd find out what's going on. We really have been working this hard. It's certainly a priority. We know that we've got cyber guardians that are dying to get onto mission defense teams. We know we've got that transition. A couple things. One, I think it's important, and I had a guardian remind me of this, that the skills that we use for BOSS IT are fundamental kind of blocking and tackling for everything else we do in cyber. So it's not like if I'm at a help desk, whether it's a mission system or whether it's NIP or SIPR, it's not like those skills aren't directly transferable to everything else I need to do. I've got to have a fundamental understanding. And that was a good point, and something that I think we should remind ourselves of, that some of that stuff is sort of requisite for everything else that we want to do. So take advantage of those opportunities when you have them. But right now, across the Space Force, we've got Patrick. We have no uniformed guardians working BOSS IT. Los Angeles, we've got 15, I think, ish left out of 120. So not very many, close to 90% complete of that transition. Vandenberg, we've got under 40, less than 40, maybe close to 30 of the 150-ish total billets that we have. So again, we're working them out. We're about 80-ish% complete, and that continues through this fiscal year through September of next year. Peterson, less than 200. And when we started this, it was hundreds. And so now it's under 200. We're drawing down, continuing that transition. So we're making headway. It's certainly something that all leadership is focused on, that the CSO is focused on. It's something that updates are regularly happening. So we'll do updates here as well. But by my count, we've got maybe less than 230 Guardians total that are still working that, I would say, traditional comm BOSS IT mission. And heading towards 0 being the goal. Although mission IT is still important, those mission systems, and like I said, the blocking and tackling that people need to do. But the transitions, I think it's fair to say finally moving forward pretty well, and I would say we certainly are looking at it at the right levels. Yeah, and it's good because we need you. The systems aren't getting less complicated. We're not getting less interest from our adversaries, and the domain is not getting less contested or less congested. And so it's kind of all hands on deck. The latest numbers on that front that I have is now we're about, I think, close to 6,950, so close to 7,000 active payloads and about 47,000 total objects. So it's, as you guys know, and thanks to you, everyone knows that, right? So thanks for everyone working our space domain awareness. We appreciate it. That's obviously important that we know what's going on up there, and it continues to get worse, to get more contested and more congested and more competitive. 3 Cs.
Absolutely,
Not
Chief.
2 Cs. 3
That was
Cs.
3. But yeah,
3
I
Cs.
counted 3 too. So actually, speaking of awareness, I know there's the whole COLA discussion, and I don't know if you wanted to briefly talk about where we are right now with COLA and how that affects our Guardians.
Do you want to talk about that?
Well, I
Yes.
can, but I think you might have a little more detail.
So there's a lot of things, right? So you guys got the new BAH lists are out. Excuse me. I think there's a few things on the taking care of people front. We got the new BAH rates are out that will go into effect on the 1st. One, if you haven't read the BAH primer that's making its rounds on the interwebs, and we will put in an email out to the force, please take a look at it. I think it's important that we understand the current construct, how we come up with BAH rates, and how the process works. That's important because there's a difference between the process needs to be reviewed, and it does, and people aren't paying attention, or they're not doing things correctly, or whatever else we might think if the outcome doesn't meet our expectations. So I think reading the primer, going through the primer, is the best way to sort of manage the expectations of what does the process think you deserve by rank and dependent status. And if you have expectations that are incongruous with what the system thinks you deserve, then there's a good chance you're not going to think you're getting enough BAH, and that's fair. We don't think that the way it's calculated now is correct. We believe that will be part of the quadrennial review of military compensation. We believe that we will look at the way BAH is calculated over the coming year. That's a longer process, and it involves a lot of stakeholders. So help us by making sure that we get accurate data and that you raise your hand. Understand that there's a difference between not following the rules or being careless or not making updates, and hey, the rules don't feel like they're a good fit in 2023. And the same thing with COLA, and we've talked about COLA rates before. The COLA rates due to go into effect 1 January are being paused for 90 days, and we will be looking at the way COLA is calculated as well, we being the Department of Defense. So over the coming year, we'll see, I think, a real effort to re-examine and reevaluate compensation in a larger sense. That's necessary to keep up with modern day expectations. It's necessary that we listen to an all-volunteer force if we want to keep an all-volunteer force. So we certainly, it's a tricky place that we're asking you all to kind of hang out right now between what you believe, what we believe should be probably better than what the system has you designed to get right now, and that the system is working, and really we're doing everything we can to make the system work the best we can with out of cycle updates, with pauses, et cetera, et cetera. The leadership of the department has done a fantastic job to work within the current rules while we work to re-examine those rules to see how we could change them. Chili, did that make sense what I just said, or am I babbling?
No, it makes perfect sense to me, Chief.
Yeah. I'm not going to pretend that I'm satisfied with where we are right now. I don't want guardians to pretend that they're satisfied if they're not. I want everyone to understand that it takes a while to make changes in law. It takes a while to make changes in policy, and that while we work through those things, the best option we always have is to understand the current laws and policy and do our best to maneuver within them. So anyway, and that's kind of, I think, it continues this conversation that we had last time, and I said I'd get back to you on the guardian value proposition, and I did get an update. And the update is we've kind of put it on hold as S1 team is correctly prioritizing some other things. But we did already collect input from, and it was over 3,700, I have the number here, 3,788 guardians have already participated in a service-wide survey about the guardian value proposition. And so we do have data. They've binned it up. We know kind of the principles by count. We know where they align. There was really two primary questions. One being, what principles are most important to you personally? And then what principles do you believe, when the people that were asked, what principles do you believe matter most for the service? It's interesting to layer those two things on top of each other. Some of them are the same. Innovative work environment showed up on both at the top of the list. Ability to work on the cutting edge showed up on both at the top of the list. So we can look and go, the Guardian surveyed broadly believed that those two things were both important to them as individuals and important to us as a service. Other things like compensation, important as for individuals, and it certainly is direct. We're talking about direct financial compensation, but that didn't stack as high for the service, which is interesting to me because the people polled seemed to think that it wasn't as important to the service, that you pay people a lot, but they were really, nobody was willing to not take it off their, to take it off their personal list. I would suggest if it's high on your personal list, it needs to be high on the service list. We do have to address it in particular in certain pay grades where we've got to as industry often describes it when I talk to them, you want to pay people enough to take money off the table, and then everything else about the value proposition is culture, environment, challenge, et cetera, but you've got to be able to take care of your family and yourself. So anyway, that work has been done. It's really good work. There's a lot of data that's being looked at, but it has, as a whole effort, slowed down a little bit because we asked them to slow down so that we could put our focus on a couple other things. We also, since we're talking about value proposition, Chief Bass and I put out, teamed with SAFMR and our friends in the other services to put out a financial resources chart, working aid, poster, I don't know what you'd call it, but and we're going to look at, from basic training through PME, certainly on the enlisted side, are we teaching people enough about being able to optimize the compensation they do get?
And the financial resources, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because when I was growing up, we would, if you didn't bounce a check at the BX, that was the bar. Like your supervisor would sit you down and go, "No news is good news, dude. Like, just don't bounce a check."
That's right.
Not great financial advice. I mean, it's fair advice. I don't want anyone to bounce. Are there checks anymore? This is where we need one of the Zoomers at the table. Do they even know what a check is?
Probably not.
I don't know that that's a hot ticket item
right?
anymore. Yeah.
I remember I used to call my bank just to check my balance. And as a young private then, I mean, I certainly went in debt, $300. Didn't have a savings account, nothing. I didn't have any financial resources or anyone
Wait a
to
minute,
really...
you were in debt $300? And we give you a clearance?
Yes.
Go sit in
Well, no, I mean,
timeout.
that was just briefly. I was a young private. I didn't know what
fixed
I was doing. Absolutely. Okay. Never again. Learned my lesson. I have a savings account now. But no, I mean, I get back to the financial resources flyer. I think it's important to have that, push it out, and people need to be educated on what resources are out there. I didn't know. I never received any sort of financial briefing or, hey, this is what you should do. As a young 18-year-old, not knowing what to do, I found myself in $300 in debt. So, but to the importance of this resources piece.
I think that's like a magnitude of 10.
10?
Less than the national average of debt.
I'm certain of it. But
maybe 100.
For me, I don't know how much I was making then. Maybe $800 a month, perhaps $900. Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of money. At any rate,
I'm glad you're okay today.
I am. I'm quite fine. Thank you.
I'm glad you made it through. Yeah, but anyway, I mean, for real, we don't do enough to teach people how to improve their lives with finances. And finances, limited finances or financial challenges continue to be one of the biggest sources of stress and the single one of the single most common denominators when it comes to real resilience challenges. So the better we understand it, the better we do to help each other, the better off we are. That doesn't mean that we can pay you too little and just tell you to suck it up, and if you saved better it wouldn't be a problem. that's not okay. It's certainly, though, if you learn to navigate what can be a tricky financial environment, right? But if you learn how to navigate it well, you're just better off than the people that don't.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So good. So that's out there, and as a working aid, if you haven't seen it, we'll attach it maybe to the same email that we send this link out on, and we're gonna bake it into training. Like, we just got to do a better job teaching people something beyond don't bounce a check. I had a HOA that was the only way I could pay my fees was with a check. And I would call the guy and I'd be like, dude, he goes, well, you have to get a cashier's check. What do you know? He would try to.
Right.
And I was like, you don't understand. Like, it was annual, like every July. And I said, I would pay you this much every month just to not have to write a check.
Right.
Like, you could multiply my housing association dues by a factor of 12 if you just don't make me write a check. Nope, he didn't take the bait. I sold that house.
It's funny how we've transitioned over time on the financial front. My only delinquent bill was the club dues, and they would not let you pay ahead. You could only pay month by month. You had to wait on your bill to come up, or you could go to the cashier's cage at the club to pay your $5 a month or whatever it was. And I happened to be on an extended TDY, missed that window, and became delinquent for 1 month.
Nice.
And I asked him, I was like, why can't we pay ahead? You know, and I know what the bill is going to be. I should be able to pay for the year for $5 a month.
They wouldn't let you.
Wouldn't let me at the time. I think they've since changed some of those rule sets. But
Yeah.
Everyone should belong to the club.
Right.
The way that all of the non-appropriated funds agencies make money, right? It's all interchangeable.
Mm-hmm.
And most places, if they really look at the eligible population that could belong to the club, if a fairly modest fraction, like 40%, were base, I like to think of it as a base membership, right?
Right.
We think of it as a club membership because that's the front door it goes in. But if a very modest amount of us belong to the club, then the bowling alleys, the auto hobby shops, the golf courses, like those things can stay open just through the club memberships. But if you think that your club membership is only tied to, the Mongolian barbecue, do clubs still do Mongolian barbecue? That's what I don't like about being
depends
in
base to
BC.
base.
Yeah, you can't really.
Yeah.
I wish that's why I always go to the hub when I'm in the Springs.
But I don't want to scare anybody from worrying about being delinquent on their club memberships. You can just do auto pay nowadays.
Yeah.
Super
Yeah,
easy.
it's easier.
You don't have to worry about it anymore.
Don't
It just
worry
happens.
about checks. All right. What, you got more stuff?
Oh,
Your
my
cheesiness
goodness.
is genuine.
It's always
I
cheesy.
appreciate you. We should all have the courage
To be
to
genuine.
be who we are.
Exactly.
Right? To be true to our character. And if our character
Appreciate it.
is cheese,
Then let it be.
high five. Go.
So, just reminded me about
Were you in here when we were talking about the cow?
what cow?
The cow when I
Yeah.
was a kid and I had the cow?
I don't think I was.
Yeah, we couldn't, no milk. The cow wouldn't give any milk. She was utterly worthless.
Mm-hmm.
Well then.
Kind of like this conversation.
Well, let's move on. I was going to bring up the Combined Federal Campaign, which is still going on right now.
Oh,
Ends mid-January.
yeah.
So for those that have not provided to that or are given a donation, just know when we give for collective impact. And so, there's still some opportunity out there to provide or give to multiple charities. And so I believe mid-January is a cutoff. I can't remember that.
Do you have like a
exact date.
website or something?
There is a website.
Do you have a booklet with
Not in
carbon
my
paper?
head, though, but
Can I get some carbon paper and fill it out? Or can
probably
I go?
it's
Is
actually
it easier?
It's easier to fill out online. I will have to push it out to the chiefs to get that data. But yeah, just don't forget that that's still going on right now.
Thanks for the PSA.
You're welcome.
Well
What is
done.
PSA?
Public service
Oh,
announcement
well, thank you.
about cities.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So shifting over, I know you were talking about COLA and a lot of big DoD stuff that's being pushed out. I don't want to forget to bring up the NDAA. It looks like that is still in the works.
Yeah, so read it. Be as smart about what your government is asking you to do as you can. You guys are sensible, fantastic, growth-minded human beings. I would say grab it and read through it. It matters. This is where we take our direction. And so the better we understand it, the better off we can execute. So everyone should get a copy and read through it. There are certainly some interesting things in there. There's some things that that we'll have to work on. Off the top of my head, I don't have it in front of me, but off the top of my head, there's plenty of space things, discussions about our direct report units, discussions, things about the components, et cetera, et cetera. So I would just say read through it, get smart. Maybe we'll have an expert come in and talk through that. There's pay raise in there, right? So that's good. They changed BAS too, huh?
That's right.
Yeah.
Good.
So it's you know how the saying, like the bad things, like death by 1,000 cuts, right? But 1,000 little good things like add up to a big improvement as well. So I think with BAH and BAS and a pay raise, and you try. I mean, the world is unpredictable, and the economy is certainly unpredictable. But I think we're trying to do better.
Yeah.
What else? You got any
what
more
else we got?
PSAs?
So I would say the other PSA would be the new PME guidance that was just pushed out, actually from S1D. So
Did you push that out, Chili?
That would have been my teammate, Chief Abby Scott.
Another one of
Yeah. That's right.
Chief of.
We actually do
Enlisted
have
Force
defined
Development.
lanes at least.
Yeah.
Same
So,
names.
Here's the important part, and I had a conversation with a former soldier, and he said, "Oh, well, no one told me that." I'm like, "Okay, well, I'll tell everybody. We are not going to make someone repeat PME for no reason. We do not want to make it mandatory. However, what we know about all guardians is that they have a growth mindset, that there is a commitment to mastery, right, of myself, my profession, and my domain, and that in the Space Force, perhaps as much as anyone, maybe more, but in the Space Force, because we are mission focused, professional military education is not some distinctly different, separate thing to mission. Like this is about moving, growing, and moving forward in the domain and in the profession. And if we don't attend because, I did that in the Navy or I did that in the Army and I don't have to, and you don't have to, I promise. We're not going to hold up promotion or anything like that. But if you don't go, then how do we gain from you? How do the other students learn from you about what you're bringing to the table? So I'd ask everyone to think about this opportunity. All of you kind of stuck in this middle ground where technically I've completed this requirement, but I have an opportunity to attend anyway. You're there to teach as much as you're there to learn. And that's how we should be embracing this. I mean, it's a couple weeks that you don't have to go to work, that you can go and have smart conversations with other guardians, in particular in our NCO and senior NCO academy. Everybody's going to the same place. It's only guardians in there, or primarily guardians in there. Man, like, this isn't I have to go to PME. This is I get to go to PME? You ever play that trick? Like, with some people go, no, you get to do this.
I have, yeah. And
Did it work? Because I'm really leaning in on this right now.
So, yeah, I agree.
I'm hoping someone listens to this Perigee and goes, oh, all right.
I agree, Chief. It's about experiential learning. So what can we learn from each other? Not just sister service. I mean, we have Air Force. We have all the different services in our branch. So it's important that they understand that piece. But also for, our sister services coming in, it's our opportunity to be able to also learn what the criteria is being taught. I'm sure there's a lot of goodness for them as well, not just, them sharing their experiences in their prior service. But yeah, I agreed there.
I'd say the biggest piece on that is not just what is the schoolhouse or PME curriculum going to provide for me to learn, but the things that we learn stems from the discussions that we have based on that curriculum. That really just starts the talks in the classrooms, right? And if we have the right mix in those classrooms, those discussions can be very meaningful. People can have a lot to take away from it. So yeah, Chief, I definitely agree with that folks should take advantage of that opportunity, to have that dialogue with their new teammates coming into a new service.
They get
That's right.
to take advantage.
Yeah,
That's what I think.
Hey, Chief. Earlier this month.
Hey, Chief.
It's my go-to. That's how. Hey, Chief.
This means you're about to bring something else up that you want me to talk about.
That's right. So earlier this month, we had some guardians. They attended a bilateral engagement out in Tokyo.
They went out to Japan and did some work.
They did?
Yeah, Sergeant Chan and Sergeant Masajewski, I think.
Correct.
But that might not be how you say it. So if that's you and I mispronounced your name, call me and teach me, and I will apologize on the next Perigee. But fantastic, representing us internationally as I would expect. We know that the third line of effort from the CSO is partnerships, and certainly international partnerships are included in that. So big thanks to everybody that was a part of that. And everybody's a part of everything, right? Like, I mean, you guys are killing it. And we can't possibly keep up with all the awesomeness. But we will try from time to time to come by and give you a high five or give you a shout. So thanks. You know what else? It's been like stupid busy couple of weeks. And if you haven't seen The Late Show, to get an entire show talking about you all was just a huge win for us. So find those clips, watch the show, be proud of what you did. The day before that show aired, we did another virtual USO event with Stephen Colbert, and we thanked the folks at Thule. We thanked the folks at Clear, and we talked to him. I got to talk to him on Zoom a bit. We're out in Thule again this week with the CSO, so we'll go out and visit them and give them a hug and thank them for what they're doing. It's such an amazing mission. And, the better that we understand it and the better that we all talk to each other about it, I think the more likely you are to realize, that might be a really cool thing to raise my hand for, because as we've talked about in the past, we can't move towards a system where we're not going to hand out non-vol assignments if everybody's just internally focused in their echo chamber and doesn't want to try anything new, doesn't want to do anything, for the team, even if it's not that big a deal for them. Like this works when, as a community, we all lean in to the important missions that we need to do, and it's easier to lean in if everybody kind of gets that they're fun, right? Like that there's real goodness in these missions. And I don't just mean the mission getting done. Like, you go to these places and they're having a great time and they're close, and sometimes it's like sort of undiluted experience, which is not unlike a deployment, undiluted experience with somehow like cask strength single malt. It's it's giving me more in a year than I would get somewhere else in a year, and that's important. So I think we walked through that. We also did STEM to space, and that was really cool. Got to talk to students all around the world, and that was with Caitlin. What's Caitlin's last name?
Caitlin
Bassett. Yeah, she's on Quantum Leap, right? Yeah. So I mean, she's not listening, but thanks to Caitlin and thanks to Stephen Colbert for everything they're doing with the USO, for what they're doing with STEM to Space, for what they're doing to help us tell our story. It's really neat to see everybody how proud other people are of what you're doing, because you matter and it makes a difference. So thanks. Yeah, we'll just keep doing it. Hopefully you all got out during December and did some STEM to Space initiative. It's such a fun opportunity, and it really matters. So keep investing in each other and keep investing. You don't have to do it just in December, right? Like invest in your communities, invest in the schools, help us continue to be the best in the world at space. And I think that's about it. We're in the middle of you got one more thing you want to talk about?
I do.
What?
Just because you said awesomeness, and it just reminded me of, I feel like we can't leave this out. It's very important.
The stupid run? Are you going to talk about the stupid
100%.
run?
You know I was going there. The T-10 miler.
Yeah.
So was
It
it
was
everything
horrible.
that you thought it would be? I mean,
Yeah, it was terrible.
we trained
We
up
hated
for it. 3 miles, I
Every
think, is the most you
step.
ran. I'm not sure, but
It was a fantastic event. It was well organized. It was well laid out. It was really cool to see Guardians, and how many 2,600 people ran. So it was
Yes, there's
really
a
neat
lot.
to see. For some reason, they decided to make the last mile straight into the sun. With
that
it
was brutal.
shining right in your face, 90 degrees. But other than that, slight, uncomfortable situation. Yeah, it was really cool. And now I have run 10 miles.
Congratulations, Chief.
Yeah, I got a prize and everything. I feel just like a
nice medal,
4-year-old
actually.
American soccer player. You get a medal for everything, which is why we're out of the World Cup. Do we care about this or not? It should be cutthroat.
Oh my goodness.
5-year-olds playing soccer need to be cutthroat if we're going to win a World Cup. No more of
That's
this just
fair.
hand out medals to everyone.
I mean, we did okay, to be fair.
Did we?
Well,
In the
no,
World
I mean,
Cup? We're the most powerful nation in the world. Anything short of winning is failure.
not good enough. So,
This is what I
agreed.
think.
I mean, we can always do better.
A
It
for
was-
effort, but we should not confuse effort with results.
Yeah, we got a pat on the back as much we got.
Well done. I know you're a big footy fan, so I just like teasing you about it.
Yeah, I
And you're a
appreciate it.
runner.
I am.
Like all
I
of
enjoyed
the
it.
recreational
I know you-
activities that I don't consider actual athletics.
They're great sports.
Yeah.
I mean, that run was tough. I mean, I felt
Pickleball, long distance running,
Badminton.
soccer.
I did that too.
Yeah, it's all the same. Bowling, ping pong. Yeah.
It's a great sport,
Anyway.
actually.
Yeah, it was a great event though, right? And through the lens of connection, through the lens of commitment. I'm happy I did it. And you know what we're gonna do?
What are we gonna do?
We're gonna build some sort of display somehow in the office for the office.
Yes.
And I'm gonna hang that medal on it. And I am saying right now, because people listening to this, they'll be right. Chief Master Sergeant of the Space Force number 2, number 3, number 4 might be out there listening. We're all running it every year.
I love
forever. I'm going to put a little
Done.
shrine in the office, and I've just committed, since I got tricked into this nonsense, everyone that ever comes after me will run it. Period. This is we'll write it into
Well,
policy.
there it is.
Yeah,
It's done.
On the record.
This has been recorded.
on the record. Whichever one, whoever follows me, go. You better start training because you're gonna run that sucker, and whoever follows them, same thing. Hey, happy holidays. We're in the middle of the week before Christmas. It's Hanukkah, it's Kwanzaa, it's New Year's coming up, it's Festivus coming up. We're pretty excited, and we're cutting a cake today for our birthday.
We are.
So we're in our. If it's the terrible twos, what do you call the threes?
Troublesome threes?
Is that what it's
Maybe?
called?
I don't know.
Is
I'm
that a
making
thing?
that
I
up.
really feel like terrible twos continue into the threes, but
Maybe just because you're a bad parent.
probably.
I kind of thought 3-year-olds were kind of easy. No,
Not at all. Especially if you have a little girl like I do.
it's not.
Continues.
It's not good.
Sassy. Yeah.
Wait till she's 14.
I can't wait.
You think she's sassy now?
Oh gosh.
All right. So anyway, happy holidays. Thanks for what you're doing. We'll see you on the other side of New Year. And if your football team's in a bowl game, good luck. And if you're chilling with your family, good. And if you're having a big potluck at your 24-hour mission center, then thank you for that. If you're not, shame on you. There should be all kind of like the 15th day in a row. Some NCOs bringing me, right? Like if you're a specialist, you should get like 15 days in a row, somebody giving you 3-day-old potatoes and saying, here you go, until you're just like, I'm over it. Like, can we
I'm
have
done.
a taco bar instead tomorrow? Like, no more of your old turkey. But thanks everybody. We appreciate you and truly hope that you have a great holiday, and we'll see you on the other side. Semper Super. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Chief.
Yeah.